Hey there, Linda Stacy, Living Blueprints. I wanted to get on today and talk about having W-2 jobs and side gigs. Something came up last night for me, and so many people have been asking me about if I still have a day job and what that looks like. They see me out here on Living Blueprints all the time and don't understand why I still have a job. And I wanted to talk about that for my own sake, just to kind of get the words out, and also for people who are curious and for people who are trying to do this also. And I want to start by saying that at the start of Living Blueprints, my main goal was to have more freedom and joy in my life. And I think for a lot of us, that's a good start, right? Freedom and joy. What a fantastic thing to create more space for. So really, my message can go to anyone because that's what Living Blueprints has been based around. My opinion at the time was that my job and my schedule were keeping me from having freedom and joy. But really what I've learned over time is that your approach and your mindset can allow you to have freedom and joy in almost any circumstance. If you've read anything by Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, the guy was in a camp in Auschwitz and was able to maintain his sense of freedom in terms of his mind and the way that he approached things, and then created some amazing works when he was out. And, even in the workspace, I could have a colleague doing exactly the same job as I'm doing, and they can experience freedom and joy in it, and I don't. So again, this is about mindset, and it's about approach. So over time, I learned things that allowed me to have more freedom and joy. So that could have been around productivity and getting things done to myself to handle work life and demands of all of it, food and exercise, getting all of that in order, knowing what matters and having that be the priority. And relationships impact all of this too. If you're not managing your relationships well, if you don't have boundaries, if you're letting people affect you in ways that just don't make sense, if you're not speaking up at work, if you're just letting people kind of mull you over, having the confidence to speak up when something isn't right or could be going differently, that impacts your quality of life and your freedom as well. So all of this fuels what I talk about for Living Blueprints. That's a little bit about the content and the come from. But I also want to talk a little bit about the financial side of being an entrepreneur. There are a lot of people out there who are hustling. They are working 80 plus hours a week. They've dropped their full-time job, and they might be making less than a third of what my current salary is affording me. And that is fine if they have freedom and joy in it. If it is wonderful for them, that is fantastic. That would not equal freedom and joy for me. I know that. I had way too many years of no or little financial support through college, and then after college, and working just so many years just to pay bills and not have freedom and joy. And it was because I was barely making ends meet. This can definitely impact. So my personal approach is to keep the job so that I have the freedom and joy around doing the things that me and my husband like doing. Now, in terms of morphing, there's another thing that people have told me in my environment that, I could make more money if I morphed my message or if I morphed my market. So that would mean selling more to corporate, which would mean kind of living in the same world that I'm living now in the full-time job, which if I'm really going to go negative on that, that's trading one set of handcuffs for another. And I don't want to do that. I have managed to find some freedom and joy in the day job now, and trying to morph my message too much in order that executives or HR professionals can really hear it and get it and feel confident about it, that's not where I want to sit. That wouldn't mean freedom and joy for me. I also don't want to have to morph my market. Some people have said, sell to entrepreneurs. They spend more money. They really do. I know, I'm one of them. We spend way more money on personal development than the average person going to work. And that is fine. Again, it's a choice. But my message and my market are people who work regular jobs and maybe don't want to spend as much money on personal development. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a message and that I cannot impact their lives. In Big Magic, a book by Liz Gilbert, she said that she didn't want to have her art pay for the roof over her head or the food in her mouth. She wanted to keep her art true. So she waited tables a really long time. And then she wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and it became this major phenomenon. Eventually, she was able to move on from there. But she never let her art be responsible for feeding her. And that's kind of how I feel about Living Blueprints. And another one, Kate Flannery from The Office. She's fantastic. She waited tables until she was 40. She didn't get that job in The Office until she was 40. She waited tables in LA until then. She met the love of her life at 50. So there's all of these examples of people who have stayed true to the soul behind their service or their mission in order to live the life they want, and they make the money the other way. So that's part of what I'm doing here with Living Blueprints as well. And I hope that other people who are entrepreneurs that think about entrepreneurship can think in terms like this, that you can stay true to your message and market if you keep the money side kind of separate for a while until the other thing can take off. So would I like to drop my day job? Yes. And when I first started Living Blueprints, that was my main goal. It's no longer my main goal. My main goal, my main priority behind this is to speak to people who are in jobs and maybe not having the most satisfaction with it, maybe not feeling the most freedom with it. That maintains my goal. That keeps my goal high. So because my clients aren't going to spend high dollar, I have to serve them in other ways, and I have to come with other ways to make equal money. Again, my soul, my service is around serving people who have jobs. So how do I actually sell things with Living Blueprints? People want to know why I haven't quit the day job. I do sell into corporate still. There are times when I will sell to a women's group or some kind of group within corporate, or do a project. And I just got one actually with my husband's company, which is kind of cool, Applied Materials for October. And it's not a bad, paycheck at all. I would just need so many more of them, and it takes time for those to build. And I have done some keynotes where I've gotten paid for conference speaking as well. And I've also gotten paid for one-on-one coaching. But again, none of these have added up to the point where they could actually replace an income that I've built in a corporate environment for 18 years. Again, I just want to be really honest about this, because there's so many people not being honest about this out there in the world. And a lot of people who go into entrepreneurship thinking that they can quit their jobs, I think way before they should. And again, you've got to let your freedom, your purpose, and your joy drive you in all of this, as I have. Of course, you can also engage with me through the retreats. I'm hoping to do these more regularly. I have one coming up on August 16th. And that is, I can include the link when I'm finished here in the comments or in the description on YouTube. But do follow me on YouTube, especially if you're one of these people who has a job, wants time and space for the bigger things, the things that matter. And I'm going to report, how things are going with me, whether it's actually related to the business, but also how it relates to these 6 big categories of life that I attempt to help people have more vision and focus with, so that they can just have happier, fuller, bigger lives. I want you to use this stuff and whatever else you find out there to create a new approach for more freedom and joy. I hope that you have a really fantastic week. All right, bye.